स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्र जातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So welcome to our Saturday and Sunday morning series on Sri Harinam Chintamani. We are discussing the third chapter of Sri Harinam Chintamani, especially the topic of Namabhas. And in the last class, we saw how there are various divisions of Namabhas. We will just sorry. Now it's clear, Haribol? Yeah. So here it is chanted with faith. It is chanted with faith. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes on to define what is Abhas. Abhas means a dim light. It's not the clear light, just like the light is covered, the sunlight is covered with clouds or fog, or a focus light is covered with some thin layer. So within this Abhas, there are these two categories, Pratibimba and Chaya. And then based on these two types of Abhas, the Shraddha, the faith can be dim. And this faith can be Shraddha, Chaya Shraddha Nama Abhas, or Pratibimba Shraddhabhas. And based on this faith, the name which is taken will be Chaya Namabhas and Pratibimba Namabhas. So then we went into the complete detail that Namabhas has these categories, Shraddha Namabhas and Ashraddha Namabhas. And within this is the Sanket, which has these two divisions, Vishnu Laksha, Nakari. Without making the Laksha as Vishnu, when the name is taken, we know that it is that what name I'm taking is Vishnu's name, but you indicate someone else, like Ajamil did. And then the Yavanas chant that they don't know that name, what they are chanting is actually the Lord's name. So these are these two divisions. Now, within this Shraddha Namabhas, there is the Chaya Namabhas and the Pratibimba Namabhas. And we mentioned that we go through these stages, that we might come in touch with the chanting either by first chanting the Ashraddha Namabhas, and then we get in the touch of association of devotees, and when we begin our chanting, and then slowly it goes to Shraddha Namabhas. From Shraddha Namabhas, we come down to the stage of Namaprad. For many, many years, we struggle with the Namaprad stage of chanting. And from the Namaprad stage of chanting, we should have proper knowledge and chant the Chaya Namabhas. And this Chaya Namabhas is very, very, very auspicious, because from Chaya Namabhas, one can go to Shuddhanam. Whereas by Pratibimba Namabhas, one cannot chant the Shuddha Nam. And Pratibimba is reflected in the lake of Mayavad philosophy. And this is like a image which is reflected on the water body, and then it is put on the wall. So this is very, very distorted image. Whereas the Chaya Namabhas is having some weak faith, but it leads to faith and Shuddhanam. And it is based on false faith and aparad. And there is a strong desire for enjoyment or liberation. The Mayavadis who chant this. In these two categories we saw in Shraddha Namabhas, Chaya and Pratibimba. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the remainder of the third chapter, speaks about this whole philosophy of the Mayavad, because as devotees, it is expected that we don't fall trap to this, subtle deviations and conceptions of the Mayavad philosophy. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes on in detail to explain what is this, Pratibimba Namabhas. So the whole now next few verses are dealing with this. He says in 62 that this kind of Namabhas leads to Mayavad philosophy and one becomes a cheater. And what is the philosophy? Person thinks that the holy name is sadhana, and to attain a higher goal, that is liberation, sadhya. And the result is offense. And difference between, oh, sorry, again, this problem. My goodness. There's something, technical problem with the system, and it has been really giving me trouble. I don't know how to. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. I have to again come down. Yeah. So now we are going to discuss quite in detail the Pratibimba Namabhas, which is rooted in the false Mayavadi philosophy, so that we can carefully avoid the Pratibimba Namabhas. Our conception is very, very important while chanting. If we maintain a conception that this chanting is ultimately a means by which I can attain a desire for liberation, if we maintain that desire, And if we don't chant with a pure intention to please Krishna or attain Krishna Prem, then these subtle tendencies can be there. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur devotes the remainder of the chapter in discussing these subtle tendencies. Of course, no devotees who attain this Sambandha Gyan of bhakti and what is sadhana and sadhya will not do that. But subtly, some deep tendencies will be there. And these can be eradicated by proper Sambandha Gyan. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving that Sambandha Gyan. So let us now take this Sambandha Gyan properly, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is discussing. Chaya nama basra hoite agyana hridhay dhaurbalya hoite anartha vidhana. Chaya nama bhas comes from only ignorance and the weakness of the heart. So when the ignorance and the weakness, hridhay dhaurbalya is gone, then from Chaya bhas, nama bhas, we can go to Shuddha Nam. Whereas Pratibimba nama bhas has two defects. The holy name cleans away these two defects of Chaya Namavas. However, Pratibimba Namabhas, chanting with these Mayavadi conceptions, increases the defects. It increases our defects. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains how Mayavad is completely opposed to Bhakti. They think that Lord Krishna's name, form, qualities and pastimes are all false, temporary and polluted. They think Krishna is not eternal. And that's why Mayavad philosophy is opposite to devotional service. Mayavad philosophy is counted among the enemies of devotional service. Therefore, Mayavadis are offenders. Mayavadi, Krishna, Aparadi. The Mayavadis don't take the holy name from their mouth. It is not the true holy name. The Mayavadis say that the holy name is not eternal. Therefore, even if they loudly chant the holy name, still they will fall into an inauspicious condition of life. They approach the holy name for sense pleasure or impersonal liberation. And the holy name cheats them and gives them only sufferings. So Krishna in the Vibhuti Yoga of the 10th chapter explains, Dhutam Chalatam Asmi. Among all the cheaters, I am the greatest cheater. So the Jiva cannot cheat Krishna because Krishna is the most expert cheater. So they try to cheat Krishna through the holy name by chanting the holy name with these subtle aspirations. And the holy name cheats them. Rejecting the offense of Mayavad philosophy. Now here Bhaktivinoda Thakur, text 72 to 75, mentions how we should reject this, offensive Mayavadi chanting. I think we had someone come here in the last Sunday class. So from here onwards, I will discuss these verses, verse by verse. There is no much discussion here. Only thing we have to be careful and carefully understand what are these subtle Mayavadi deviations and avoid them in our chanting. So if you have any questions while we are discussing these verses verse by verse, you can always raise your hand. Tabayadi Mayavadi Bhukti Mukti Asha Chadiya Kareya Nama Hoya Krishnadas. If a Mayavadi rejects the desire for sense pleasure and impersonal liberation, Bhukti Mukti Asha, and instead chants the holy name, he will become the servant of Lord Krishna, Krishnadas. Chadiya Kare Nama Hoy Krishnadas. I am Krishnadas. I am not Aham Brahmasmi. I am not the Supreme Lord. Tabe tare chadi Mayavada Dushtamata Anutapa Sahoy Nama Anugata. He will reject the wicked Mayavad philosophy, repentant, Anutap. He will become the follower of the holy name. Sadhu Sangha Kare Puna Shravana Kirtan Susambandha Jnana Tabe Udaya Tatashan. Now here is very important. If this Mayavadi comes in the association of pure Vaishnavas, Sadhu Sangha Kare Puna Shravana Kirtan, and again hears and chants the Lord Krishna's glories, he will attain true knowledge of his relationship with the Lord. Jiva Krishna Das, Karlo ye Vishwas, Aradukanai, Jivera Sarupai, Krishna Nityadas, as Sanatan Goswami told to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told to Sanatan Goswami, Jivera Sarupai, Krishna Radisnadas. The Mayavadis, want to become God. So you're not God, you're God's servant. So when they get this kind of knowledge, Sambandha Gyan, Su Sambandha Gyan, the word is used as Su means, Su is a prefix. Very clear, meticulous Sambandha Gyan of the Jiva and the Lord. Then, and they hear the glories, then with this Sambandha Gyan, the Mayavad philosophy is rooted out. अविश्रांत नाम करे पदे चक्षु जल नाम कृपा पाए चित होयतः सबल. He will never grow tired of chanting the holy name. Tears will from fall his eyes. Attaining the mercy of the holy name, he will find his heart become strong. So when he chants with this kind of Sambandha Gyan, then he'll experience the effects of the holy name. Now, text 76 to 77, further, another theme Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings out. Saying devotional service is not eternal, the Mayavadis commit an offense. So what are the offensive mentality the Mayavadis have, or we might also have these misconceptions? What are they? Krishna Rupa, Krishna Dhasya, Jivera Swabhav, Mayavad Anitya, Kalpita Bole Sabha. The Mayavadis say that the individual souls, Krishna's form, Krishna Roop, and service to Lord Krishna, Krishna Das, Jivera Swabhav, are all imaginary and not eternal. Anitya and Kalpita. So these are the two important terms. They are Anitya and Kalpita. It is all imagination. So we should know Mamayevamsho Jivaloka Jivabhuta Sanatana. The living entities are eternally the part and parcels of the Lord. It is not a temporary relationship. It is an eternal relationship. It is not anitya, it is nitya. So this is one fallacy to consider it anitya. And the second is kalpita. It is all imagined. Kalpana. It is all imagination. So these two things have to be taken care. Hena Mayavadi nama parade gani. Mayavada hoye sarva vipadera khani. In this way, I count the Mayavadi philosophy among the offenses to the holy name. From the Mayavad philosophy, all calamities come. Sarva vipadera khani. So it springs out from the Mayavad philosophy, all kinds of offenses. Now, again, what is the effect of this kind of chanting of the Mayavadis? What it does, Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings out from text 78 to 18, two text. So I would like to know from the audience, you can type in the chat box, the Mayavadis chant which kind of namabhas first? And then what will be the result of their chanting? What will be the end result? You can all type in the chat box. Yeah, I would like to hear also others' answers, what kind of chanting they do, and what will be the result also. Yeah, everyone is quite clear about it now. Yes, it is Pratibimba Namabhas. And the result, some are saying, is inauspicious. Yes, it is definitely inauspicious. But as the Ashraddha Namabhas can give liberation, then what to speak of, the Shraddha Namabhas. The Shraddha Namabhas also gives liberation. When Ashraddha Namabhas can give liberation in the four categories, Sanket and all, So even the Shraddha Namabhas, which is the Pratibimba Namabhas, also gives liberation. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a very clear understanding. By Namabhas chanting, the Mayavadis attain Sayujya Mukti, impersonal liberation, which is Mukta Abhas, the dim light of liberation. So I think you must have come across this term first time. Actual liberation is Mukti Pade, to be situated at the lotus feet of Krishna in any of the rasas. So that is real liberation. But they get what is not real liberation, but it is a dim light of reflection, Mukti Abhas. Namabhas Kalpataru Mayavadi Jane Abhishta Arpana Kare Sayuja Nirvane. Being like a Kalpa Vriksha tree. Namabhas is a Kalpa Vriksha. Just like the Vedas are Kalpa Vriksha, Nigama Kalpa Taror, Ghalitam Phalam. The Lord is also Kalpa Vriksha. The holy name is also Kalpa Vriksha. So being a Kalpa Vriksha, Namabhas gives Mayavadis the impersonal liberation they desire. Abhishta Arpana. Abhishta means it is their desire. They are Mokshakami. So they get a kind of liberation which is called as Sayujya Nirvan. That is, they get impersonal liberation. Now, further, what is this impersonal liberation? He explains, Sarva Shakti Name Ache Tai Namabhas Pratibimba Hoilat O Dena Mukti Abhas. When it is reflected as Pratibimba Namabhas, so the chanting is reflected just like the light of the sun is reflected on the water body or a lake or a swimming pool. The light is not so clear because of the moving waves. The light is very distorted, and even when this light falls on the wall, it is the still image is very, very distorted. So they chant this reflected Namabhas. The all-powerful name, holy name gives Mukti Abhas, a dim light of liberation. So actually, they get Mukti Abhas. They don't get the real, Mukti. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains these 5 types of liberation. Panchavidha Mukti Made Sayuja Abhas Bhava Klesha Nashe Matra Phala Sarvanash. Among the 5 kinds of liberation, the liberation called Sayujya Mukti, impersonal liberation, is called Mukti Abhas. So now we know these 5 kinds of liberations. Sarupya, Samipya, Sashti, and Salokya. These are 4 which are desired where there is service to Krishna, there is devotion in it. But Sayujya is Mukti is never desired. Diyamanam na grananti vinamat sevanam jana. Kapil Muni mentions that in our line, that is Rupa Goswami's line, we don't even desire these 4 kinds of liberations in Vaikuntha where there is service to the Lord. Because this kind of 4 liberations, there is desire for being in the Vaikuntha planet with the Lord and experiencing the Sukha and Aishwarya of the Lord. Sukha means the happiness. This is spiritual happiness. And the Aishwarya. Aishwarya refers to the spiritual opulence in Vaikuntha. So these 4 Sukha Aishwarya Mukti, these are called. The 5th one is Sayuj Mukti. That even the devotees don't accept it. In the other sampradayas I'm speaking. But in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which we belong to, even the 5 liberations, the pure devotees don't accept. They just want, devotional service birth after birth. Whether the Lord keeps them in the hellish planets or in the heavenly planets, or he takes them back to the spiritual world to eternally serve. The Lord doesn't, that pure devotee doesn't, mind anything. So that is, pure prema, premuttara. Premuttara it is called. Sukha Aishwarya is the 4 kinds of liberation. Now, this Sayuj Mukti is what is called as Mukti Abhas. This is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur is clearing. It is not the real liberation, it is a dim light of liberation he is mentioning. Now, in this context, I just want to clarify uh, one thing. We all know that Shishupal was in that Rajasuya Yagya, when the Agra Puja was supposed to be offered to Krishna. He started blaspheming Krishna. And after 100 such blasphemies, he was given this condition. Krishna, with this Sudarshan, cut his throat. And everyone in that Sabha saw, Shishupal's soul come out in the sky, shine, and then enter the body of Krishna. So it is mentioned that he attained Sayuj liberation. So, what kind of liberation actually Shishupal attained? That is my question to you. You can type in the chat box. Did Shishupal attain Sayuja Mukti? Because his soul entered the body of Krishna, and everyone saw that. And Yudhishthira Maharaj also asked this question to Narad Muni in the 7th canto beginning, that how, we all saw this scene that Shishupal's soul entered the body of Krishna. Now, did Shishupal attain Sayuja liberation? Yes or no? You can all type in the chat box. Oh, there is one. I would like to hear others also. I hope others are there. I think next time I should tell all to keep their videos on so that we can be having an interactive discussion, so that everyone is involved in the discussion. Okay. Let me see now all the chat discussion. Okay. Now many have yes. Maya Narasimha says no because he went back to Vaikunta. Yes, somebody saying yes. Many are saying yes. One or two are saying no. Yes. So the answer is that Shishupal did not attain Sayuja Mukti, although it seemed there that he entered the body of the Lord. So Jiva Goswami explains in his Sandarbhas that Sayuja, Sayuja, when you break these terms, Sa and Yuj. Sa means to, connect, and Yuj means to actually link. So he reunited with the Lord. So this is a deeper meaning also what Sayuj can have. Sa and Yuj. Sayuja can be broken up and it can be made as Sa and Yuja. Sa Yuja means to reconnect or reunion of the, because Shishupal was an eternal associate. He was Jay and Vijay from the spiritual world. So he became reunited back to the Lord in his service, back as the gatekeeper there. And that is why he did not actually attain Sayuj liberation. So this is a clarification which Jiva Goswami gives. Only with respect to Shashipal. Generally, all the demons killed in Krishna Lila or by the Lord, they attain impersonal liberation. Some special cases, the Krishna can give them the forms in the spiritual world. And here is one case of Shishupal. Second is, we know the famous case of Putana. She was given a Dhatri. So that is just a small clarification with respect to this Sayuja liberation. It only benefits that it destroys all sufferings. So what is the benefit of this kind of Sayuja liberation? Bhava klesha nashe matra. This matra, bhava is destroyed, bhava klesha. What is this bhava klesha? Janma mrityu jaravadi. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, phale sarvanash. However, it at the end, it ruins everything. Although it destroys Bhava Klesha, but the end result you see Mayavad philosophy, with that impersonal liberation, you're eternally what? Stuck there in the impersonal light. And you cannot, experience the real happiness. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur comes to that from text 81 to 83. He says, the Mayavadis do not attain eternal happiness, although they become liberated and they are in the impersonal light. Mayavadi Nitya Sukha Paye Na. Mayaya Mohita Jana Tahe Sukha Mane Sukha Abhasa Matra Paye Sayuja Nirvane. So there is one question. Yes, Maya Narsimha Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, interesting to know. I wanted to know about Paundrak, who got Sarupya Mukti. So, how do we see that Prabhu? He's not a devotee and he was not favorably oriented.
Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu confirms that those who imitated that they are Krishna, the Paundrak and the Shrigala Vasudev, they thought that they are Krishna, and like that they did imitation. So they also, attained Vaikuntha, but they could not enter Vaikuntha, it is mentioned. And, they were absorbed in the impersonal liberation, Brahma Sukha, So they were in the border. And because, there was a kind of oneness that I am also Krishna, so there was no service attitude. So they did not have a form where they could perform devotional service to Krishna and experience the bhakti happiness. So they were in the border. That is what Rupa Goswami very clearly points out in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So although they were in Vaikuntha, but they were in the border and they were absorbed in Brahma Sukha. That is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes it clear. Is it okay?
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Any other questions anyone has? Okay. Okay, see, there is one question by one Mataji here. Krishna Priya Mataji. Shishupal attained Sarupya. See, once you attain liberation in among the four, it's not that it is just one. You attain Sarupya, you attain also Salokya, because you are in the Vaikuntha planet. So you within that there might be some gradations or differences, but when you attain liberation, especially the four liberations, there is Salokya also. You are attaining the Vaikuntha planet. There is Sarupya also, because you attain a form of the Lord only. So two are guaranteed. Now, whether specifically you attain Shrashti, the opulences the Lord bestows that, yes, everyone gets that Shrashti. Whatever the wealth the Lord has, He fully gives that to His devotees in the Vaikuntha planets. As much amount of wealth the Lord has, equally is to His eternal associates, not something less. So this is the love and compassion the Lord has. No material father in this world can do that. Big giants like, Ambani or whatever it is, they can, distribute the wealth to their children, but they cannot 100% give equal wealth, what they possess, to their children. And then they also have that same amount of wealth. If they give that equal wealth, then they are not possessing anything. But the Lord, out of His inconceivable potency, can give equal footing of wealth to His devotees in the spiritual world. So that is how we should understand. Yes, Shishupal attained Sarupya, but his liberation, what we see, was that I actually merged in the body of Krishna, and that was, the term used in the Bhagavatam is Sayujya, and Sayujya is the word which is used in the Bhagavatam, and that is why Jiva Goswami clarifies that Sayujya is Sayujya, means reunion. That is how we should understand. I hope it is clear, Mataji. Any other questions anyone has? Okay, there are a few more verses where we finish now this third chapter. Let us take up. They don't attain eternal happiness. Text 81 and 81 to 83. Okay, so there is some disturbance there. Kindly also be in the background where there is no disturbance so that we can attentively hear. Okay. Mayaya mohita jana tahe sukamane sukavas matra paye sayujya nirvane. Bewildered my Maya. Bewildered my Mayavadi philosophy. Ordinary people think they will find happiness in Maya. Maya Sukha. When he attains Sayujya Mukti, impersonal liberation, the soul attains only Sukh Abhas, a dim light of happiness. So this is not the real happiness. The Brahmananda is not the real happiness. Satchitananda Seva Paramanivriti Sayujana Paye Kabu Hata Krishna Smriti. The highest pleasure is service to the eternal, blissful, and the all-knowing personality, supreme personality of Godhead. However, when the soul attains Sayuj Mukti, his memory of Krishna is erased. So the soul, as I was mentioning, if you remember, we are in the material world, we have a gross body and the subtle body, and then there is the soul. So when Mayavadis attain liberation, they give up the gross and subtle bodies, and they are situated in this, in their constitution position as a soul only. But they don't develop a spiritual body to serve Krishna. So in that sense, the Mayavadis are free from the gross and subtle bodies, and that's why they are able to experience the happiness of not having a material body and not going through the misery of material body. This is a negation of happiness, but they don't get the positive happiness of the spiritual body in which there is spiritual service. So in one sense, the Mayavadis have neither a gross and material bodies, nor they have spiritual bodies. So they are somewhere stuck up in between, and that is a pathetic condition. And that is why these souls attain Sayuja Mukti, and the memory of Krishna is erased for them. So this is one clarification I would like to make. Many devotees ask that, how is that, we have come from the spiritual world and we have suffered here in the material world, when after we attain perfection, Krishna is saying, Janma karma cha me divyam evam vyavati tatvata tektva deham punarjanma neti mameti. So Arjuna, so once you give up this body and you come to my word, you will not come back. So what is the guarantee? Because we have come from there. So here, a very interesting answer a sannyasi gave, that the souls who return back to the spiritual world, Krishna in their memory keeps a chip. I'm giving a modern terminology of how that soul has suffered in the material world. So he keeps that memory with that jiva, so that jiva will never again come back to the material world. So that is Krishna's mercy there. And he is always absorbed in serving the Lord in his, rasa. But here for the Mayavadis, Krishna, erases their memory about him. Whereas for devotees, he keeps that memory of their material sojourn, material journey, what they had. He gives a glimpse of it, a trailer form. The entire thing is saved in his chip, in his memory, even when he goes back to the spiritual world. And if take in the discussion there in the spiritual world, the material world discussion comes, oh no, I have experience of it. It is really miserable. Let me be blissfully serving the Lord in my rasa here and absorbed in service. So that's how the pure devotees remain and don't again come back. That was just a clarification in with respect to this, memory erasing for the Mayavadis about Krishna I just mentioned. Yhana nahi bhakti prema nitya yata vishwas nitya sukha kaichetaha hobe prakash. How can a person who does not have faith that devotional service and pure love for Lord Krishna are eternal? So this is the main, defect. They don't consider devotional service to the Lord eternal and love for Lord eternal. And how then they can attain eternal happiness then? Love, the word love is only applicable, Srila Prabhupada explains, to the Lord. Love for anything in this world, be it wife, children, or any objects, I'm just giving a general thing, cannot be eternal because the objects itself are temporary. So love is eternal, the Jiva is eternal, the Lord is eternal. And devotional service, bhakti, is also eternal. Bhakti is what? Loving service to the Lord. So that is why Bhakti Tirth Maharaj used to make a very profound statement. The moment the devotee imposes his love on anything in this world, he only experiences misery. Only when we impose our love on the real object Krishna, then we can experience real happiness. So very beautifully he brings out this statement. Now text 84 to 87 in 4 verses, 84, 85, 86, 87. In 4 verses, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is now giving how by Chaya Namabhas one can attain Shuddhanam. So this is very, very important for us because we will be progressing from Chaya Namabhas to Shuddhanam, and we should be not accepting this faulty philosophy. That is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quite elaborately discussed. Sometimes the negative aspect, what is not in devotion, has to be understood. Like, Rupa Goswami describes what is pure devotion, Uttama Bhakti. But Jiva Goswami in the Sandarbhas, before discussing Uttama Bhakti, he discusses what is Mishra Bhakti, mixed devotion. Because if you know what is mixed devotion, then when you clearly understand mixed devotion, then you will perform pure devotion. And this tendency of, doing mixed devotion is there in the Jivas. So understanding sometimes mixed devotion is more beneficial, and then understanding pure devotion. So Jiva Goswami in his Sandarbhas, that's why first discusses mixed devotion and the different varieties of mixed devotion, and then goes on to the discussion of pure devotion. Whereas Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu directly discusses about pure devotion. And even Kapil Dev in his Kapil Shiksha in the 3rd canto also first discusses mixed devotion, Satviki Bhakti, Rajasiki Bhakti, and Tamasic Bhakti. And after defining these mixed devotions, then he defines Nirguna Bhakti. So similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has discussed now the faulty philosophy of Pratibimba Namabhas, which the Mayavadis chant. And now he is discussing the Chaya Namabhas and how it will lead to Shuddhanam. Chaya Namabhas nahi jane dushtamata matavade chittavala nahi tarahata. A person whose chanting is Chaya Namabhas does not accept any false philosophy, dushtamata. So we should be very careful not to accept this false philosophy of the Mayavad. His strength of mind is not destroyed by the imaginary ideas of a false philosophy. Matavade, mata means, false philosophy. Chitta bala. His mind is not disturbed by these 5 solas. Se keval nahi jane yatartha prabhava Sei prabhave jnana dana namera swabhava. By his own power, the soul cannot know the truth. Only when the holy name gives the gift of knowledge does the soul understand the truth. So that is why one of the effects of chanting in the Shikshashtakam first verse is what? Vidya Vadur Jivanam. The soul only, sorry, the holy name is Vidya Vadu Jivanam. Vidya means knowledge. Vadu means, it's compared to the wife. So just like the wife accompanies the husband, the chanting of the holy name, with the chanting of the holy name, the Nama Tattva is slowly revealed in the heart to us. It is revealed to us through the spiritual master who speaks about the Nama Tattva. It is revealed in the Shastras. So with all this, we cannot know the truth because we are covered. Avritam jnanam etena jnaninam nitya vairina. We are covered by calm now. And the soul's knowledge is not self-manifest. But the kama covering is removed, then automatically the soul is, it's the knower of himself. It is sarvagya in one sense. So slowly this covering to remove, we need the knowledge from the Shastras, we need the knowledge from the Guru, and we need to take the holy name. And the holy name is also Prabhu. It is Nama Prabhu. And Nama will bestow that kind of knowledge. Then what will happen? Mega chane Surya Prabha Pratita Noy Hoy Kintu Mege Nashi Surya Karena Udhay. And he gives an example here. When it is covered by clouds, the sun's light cannot be known. Only when it destroys the clouds is the sun openly manifest. Now it is interesting. The sun is the one which actually creates the clouds in one sense. If you see the sun, because of the sun only takes the water from the ocean, it evaporates and forms the clouds, and it is only the sun which can clear the clouds. So ultimately there is the jiva's desire to separately enjoy, and that's why these clouds come up. And the jiva who desires now to know Krishna, then Krishna sees that, and then Krishna removes the cloud. So ultimately it is Krishna's mercy. Just like the sun has only the power to remove the clouds, there is no power in this material world, materially also speaking, where we are covered with the clouds and we want to see the sun and we have the power to, remove the clouds. It's not possible, material also. Then what to speak of spiritually, knowing Krishna. So it is only by Krishna's mercy, when he removes the cloud of these anarthas, then he reveals himself. And that is why in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu it is mentioned, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Grama Indriya Sevan Mukehi Jivvado Swayam Eva Spuritada. Swayam Eva Spurita. Swayam means it directly manifests. And where and how? Because Seva, Jivvado. We serve the Lord with our tongue by chanting the holy name and by taking only Krishna Prasad. So if we engage the tongue incessantly in chanting and only honoring Prasad, then the holy name will manifest. Swayam Prakash, as we can say. Shaya Namavasi Dhanya Sada Guru Prabhave Alpadine Nama Prema Anayasa Pave. Now this is, in the beginning I mentioned, one who understands Namabhas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has promised that he will soon attain Shuddhanam. So here, by the power given by a genuine spiritual master, a fortunate person who's chanting his Chaya Namabhas, after a few days easily attains pure love for the holy name, Nama Prem or Shuddhanam. So we now have got a clear understanding that firstly we need to avoid Namaprad. And from Namaprad, we come to Chayanamabhas. And very soon, Alpadine, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Alpadine, we will attain Shuddhanam. So that means first we have to come out of Namaprad. So the next chapters onwards, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to discuss about Namaprad. So now why, Namaprad is not being discussed, because these are the three stages of chanting: Namaprad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. And we say that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has discussed about Namabhas. So why? He had to give a clear understanding about the various divisions of Namabhas. And now, how by chanting Namabhas, we can attain Shuddhanam. But before that, we have to become free from Namaprad. So fourth chapter of onwards, the 10 offenses, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to devote each chapter for these 10 offenses, which we will start from tomorrow. Now, the last section is 88 to 92. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives some, regulations for devotees about, avoiding association with Mayavadis. Mayavadi sangateha sartaka chadiya shuddhanama parayana tushibe seviya eita tomaragya Shri Krishna Chaitanya sei agya e pale sei jiva dhanya. A soul who carefully avoids association with Mayavadis. Mayavadi Sangha Satarka Chadiya. Satarka means with lot of caution. We should be very careful not to avoid the association of Mayavadis. Because firstly, Mayavadis are Krishna Pradis. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada quotes in his Chaitanya Charitamrita that even a Mahabhagavat, if he associates with the Mayavadi, he can fall down. Such is the, fallacy of the Mayavad philosophy that even a Mahabhagavat can fall down. Of course, there are great acharyas like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur who are empowered souls who had come to completely uproot the Mayavad philosophy and the Upper Sampradayas. So we should know what is our level. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying Mahabhagavat also can fall down. So how much we should be careful. And especially we should not be so enthusiastic to go and preach them, because they are very deep rooted because of the tremendous austerities and false philosophy which they have heard. And it is very difficult to, convert them. Only Mahaprabhu did it in his pastimes. So we should be very, very careful about it. I'll just finish discussing this verse and take up other question. Maybe I'll finish all the verses and take up this question. And who with his service pleases a pure devotee attached to pure Nam. Shuddha Nama Parayana Tushibe Seva. So if this Mayavadi philosopher actually serves a pure devotee who takes Shuddha Nam, then it is possible, and who follows your commands. Agya Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Oh, Shri Krishna is very fortunate. Say Agya Jiva Dhanya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given these orders for us about Mayavadi association, and one who follows this is fortunate. Now he gives a severe warning. Eina pale tava agya sei jiva char koti janme kichuta iya na hobe udhar. A soul who does not follow your commands is worthless rubbish. Even after millions of earth, he will not be delivered. So very heavy statement here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making, that one should follow the command what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given about Mayavadis. One should be very, very careful. Kusanga chadiya Prabhu raka tava pai tava padma padma vina na deki upay. Oh Lord, only by taking shelter of you can the soul avoid bad association. Kusanga chadiya Prabhu raka tava pai. We should be always in the shelter of devotees. Bhakta Sanevas. Tava Padmapana Vina Deki Upaya. I do not see any other way than taking shelter of your lotus feet. Then Haridas Thakur says, Haridasa Pada Dvandve Vinoda Yahar Harinama Chintamani Sadagana Tar Bhakti Vinod, who takes shelter of Haridas feet. Haridasa Pada Dvande. Dvande means two, because two lotus feet. No? Again and again sings Sadagan Tara Shri, this Harinam Chintamani. Harinama Chintamani. So this is how the third chapter about Namabas. We have finished the discussion. And now we know why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to discuss about Namaprad from the next chapter onwards. So here I will stop, and there is one question by Sarmishta Priyadarshini. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, thank you for such a wonderful session. Actually, I had a very down one. I was having so much doubt on Namaha. So I just cleared very wonderfully. Thank you so much for that. Prabhuji, my question is, to avoid Mayavadi association, if our family members, like our parents, are into Mayavadi, then how can we avoid their association? It is very difficult to
Actually, there is a lot of background disturbance from your side.
Just a second, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's better now. Please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Is it okay now, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Yeah. Prabhuji, my question is, if our family members are into Mayavadis, then it is very difficult to avoid their association. So how can we avoid our parents' association and others? Yeah.
Now, firstly, I would like to ask a question that whether actually in your family there are somebody who are Mayavadis?
Yes, my parents are both mom and dad. They both are
Okay.
into Mayavadi's philosophy, actually.
Can you tell me what exactly Mayavadi philosophy they are following?
They're into, Divine Life Society of Sivanand Swami and Chidanand Swami. So they are into that association. They are they have taken Diksha also, and even they have forced me when I was in 12th, and they forced me to take Diksha also. I have taken Diksha, but I never accepted them as my guru.
Okay. Now I'm clear, because
Yes.
this is very, very rare case then.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, because generally why I ask this question is generally people have some understanding of Mayavad philosophy, inclination. The jiva is very much attracted to Mayavad philosophy because that is what the jiva has come for. That is the highest sense gratification, to become God. So these kind of tendencies can be very shallow, and they are not deeply rooted into Mayavad philosophy. But those who subscribe to Mayavad philosophy, which is propagated by some of the Mayavadi sects, and they are many years into this Advaita philosophy, and they have thoroughly studied them, and they are very heavy debaters and arguers about it. And I have met few. Some were quite old, they were in their 70s and 80s, and they were hardcore because many years they had studied. And even while debating, they were so heavy in their debate, although they did not have mental and physical strength, but they were coming out like this. Then I could understand they are very, very deep rooted. So here is a very extreme case. So if these kind of people are there, we should avoid their association, definitely. Now, since it is a very unique case that within the family members, such Mayavadi subscribers are there, one thing is that we should now see it as somehow, oh, this is Lord's arrangement now that I'm put in this situation. And I take it from a positive perspective that how, yes, I have got this right knowledge of the right Sambandha Gyan in the Vaishnava, Sampradaya. And I should see that and feel genuine compassion for them. And secondly, uh, I should also like a pad,
Yes.
protect myself, you know. So definitely it is not advisable to preach them and never get into any arguments about it. Let them practice their philosophy. Let us practice our philosophy, and not get into that discussion at all. Deal with them as whatever relationship you have for service related thing. Just like we devotees go to job and deal with the colleagues with is related to work, and that is not considered as association. That is not at all considered association. And internally, we can have this firm resolve that I have been very blessed that somehow I was having this false philosophical understand and I have got the right philosophy. So internally we cultivate this mood and become firm. And as Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give the example, just like a paramour and just like a chaste wife has a paramour relationship, one should develop that kind of attachment for Krishna. So we take like that and practice our devotion given in this situation. So that's what I can say.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have another question. Sorry, if you have time, so I will ask.
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhuji, my question is, if I'm not wrong, then Mayavadi philosophy started from Adiguru Sankaracharya, is it?
No, Mayavadi philosophy is there since the dawn of creation. The jivas who have become vimukha, averse to Krishna, have come in this world to enjoy. And there is, different types of enjoyment, gross enjoyment and subtle enjoyment. So Krishna also gives the philosophies. These philosophies also are there with, the beginning of the creation. And that is why these philosophies, they are personified forms. In fact, even the Shad Darshans also, no? Nyaya, Vaishishika, Mimamsaka, and Purva Mimamsaka, Uttar Mimamsaka, and then there is the Sankhya. All these philosophies actually also are manifested with the beginning of creation, because the jiva wants to, in order to enjoy, he has to subscribe to some philosophy. So those who are sincere, Krishna gives them the right philosophy also. But those who want to be averse to him, Krishna also provides a philosophy by which they can be averse to him. So Krishna is Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam. Eko yo vidati bahu, eko vo bahuna vidati kaman. So not only he fulfills the desires of all living beings in terms of providing maintenance to satisfy their body and mind. So in the subtle form, in the form of intellectual deviations, in the form of these philosophies, he gives them intellectual sense gratification by giving these philosophies. So in one sense, all these philosophies are given by Krishna to us, even atheism also, to be ours from.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, but Adiguru Sankaracharya is also Mayavadi Guru. I
Yeah,
have
it
heard
is
from
one of the
someone.
propagandas of Mayavad philosophy in the recent times. It doesn't mean that Mayavad philosophy was invented by Shankaracharya just 1100 years back. It is there since dawn of creation, but he became a prominent acharya who, propagated it. Buddha philosophy or Bauddha philosophy, Buddhism, it is called as Nirvana, Nirvishesh. It is Nirvishesh only, Shunya philosophy. It is not that Buddha propagated it. Buddha, at that particular time, there were souls who subscribed to that philosophy and Buddha gave that philosophy. But Buddhism or that Buddhistic thought, we say, Buddhistic thought is there since the creation. And if you see, Vyasadeva in the Vedanta Sutra has, he has defeated Buddhistic thought, because Vedanta Sutra was written 5,000 years back and Buddha appeared after, 2,500 years back after, Vyasadeva. So
Yes.
Buddhistic thought is, negated or defeated in Vedanta Sutra. So these different philosophies are there since the dawn of creation.
But Prabhuji, I have heard from Mayavadis only that Adiguru Sankaracharya was an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Is it true?
Correct. It is
Okay,
true. It
then
is true.
okay, then Lord Shiva is the greater Vaishnava. Then why he accepted this philosophy, Mayavadi philosophy?
See, it's very pertinent to know that Shankaracharya actually he propagated Mayavada philosophy because it was Krishna's order for him to do that, and that is why Shankaracharya or Lord Shiva tells to Parvati, Mayavadi Asat Shastram. The Mayavad philosophy is not Shat Shastra, it is Asat. Bauddha, Channa Bauddha, it is covered Buddhism. Mayeva Vihitan Devi. I will only propagate it. Kalo Brahmana Murtina. In Kali Yuga, I'll propagate it in the form of a Brahmana taking. So this is mentioned in the Padma Puran. So the Jivas at that particular time, they, it became prominent that philosophy was to be propagated, and Krishna facilitated those Jivas who wanted to, subscribe to that philosophy, and he sent Lord Shiva in the form of Shankaracharya, and it's an elaborate discussion as to why these philosophies slowly evolve, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us the highest philosophy, that is Achintya Veda Bheda Tattva. So we will stop here. Is there any other question? I wanted to know whether you are in the group. First time I am hearing your
Yes,
name.
Prabhuji, I'm here for the first time actually.
Okay, then please, you can subscribe to the WhatsApp group.
Okay, Prabhuji, can you please send me the link in the chat box, please?
I will just send you my number. You just send me a WhatsApp message.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you,
There is
Prabhuji.
one
Thank you.
question, Birendra Yadav, Prabhuji. Yes, Birendra Yadav, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, my question pertains to this 75th verse of Namabhas chapter,
Okay.
where it is said that attaining the mercy of the holy name, one's heart becomes strong.
Yeah.
My question is, Prabhuji, what is difference between heart becoming strong and heart becoming hard?
Oh, very nice question. Just a minute. Now, of course, after the discussion of the last verses, I forgot to just summarize in the chart, PPT. I will first take up that. Some of the Mayavad philosophy discussion went on. So what is the remedy here? Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the last few verses is mentioning is here that take shelter of the Guru. This is the entire summary of 58 to 92. He will teach you Sambandhigyan, Jivera Sarupai Krishna Nityanas. He will instruct you in chanting, proper chanting, Abhideya. And from that, it will lead to Shuddhanam, that is Chaya Namabhas to Shuddhanam. And ultimately, we can attain Prayojan. So this is the method. We have to understand this faulty tendencies which we might have, and then become free from it by taking proper Sambandhigyan. So that's what is the solution. Now, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji's question is that Hridhay Daurbalya, weakness of the heart, what it means, weakness of the heart, and what is hard heart. Now, weakness of the heart, we don't have a clear understanding. Sometimes we feel, I feel at least. So what is Hridhay Daurbalya? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned, and I will take you to the chart where we discussed about Hridhay Daurbalya and explain you what exactly is Hridhay Daurbalya. Yeah, here. So weakness of the heart means we have, Tuchya Asakti. This is what is called as Tuchya Asakti. Tuchya Asakti means we are attached to, petty things. The heart is weak because of cheating tendency. Duplicity is there. The heart is weak because we are greedy. We are greedy for attaining so many things in this world, or we are greedy for eating too much prasad. We are envious when we see other devotees who are advancing more than us. Suppose, you are taking a small, Bhakti Vriksha group in your community, and somebody joins the course, and maybe he was advanced in his previous life, and suddenly he rises within a year or two, and you are there 10-15 years practicing. How do you see it? So these kind of all emotions which come up because of kama, krodha, lobha, mada and matsarya, these are what are called as hridaya dhaurbalya. And then there is the subtlest among them, puja labha pratishta. So these are what is called as the weakness of the heart. And hridaya dhaurbalyata has to be eradicated. Bhaktivinoda Thakur suggests that one should, do these 6 kind of loving exchanges. Dadati pratigranati, guhyam akhyati prichati, bhungte bhojate chaiva, shadvida priti lakshanam. So when, we are greedy for having a lot of prasad for ourselves, this is the weakness of the heart. What we should do? We should be eager to distribute that very prasad to all the devotees. So that's how we can become free from that greediness. When we envy other Vaishnavas who are becoming more advanced than us, then we should actually go and serve them, and ask them the secrets, how you're able to advance. We should genuinely appreciate them. So this is how we should, rectify this deep, weakness of the heart. So this is nothing to do with the weak physical heart we have. This is the, this is the conditioned, swabhav of us, which is part of the subtle body. So we should become free from that. So that is how we should, start working on this weakness of the heart. And this has nothing to do with the physical heart, strong heart, and the weak heart. The weaknesses are because of our subtle desires in the form of the subtle emotions and the subtle desires of puja, labha, and pratishta. Is it clear, Prabhuji? Okay. So we will stop here. There is one question, the chat box. Nirvan is, Krishna empowers devotee with the memory of all sufferings they went through in Bhumika and past. Is it related to one of Prabhupada's pastimes? During Vaishnav, Indradu Maharaj said that once returning back to India from Africa, His Divine Grace Prabhupada was detained, quarantined in an Indian airport for a long time. He remembered Prabhupada slowly saying to himself that that's why I did not want to come to this world. Does that mean he remembered everything about this world by Krishna's mercy? Yes, definitely. Prabhupada was told to go to the, material world and preach. Prabhupada said, no, that is a miserable place. I don't want to go. But still, because it was Krishna's order, Prabhupada came here to preach. The material world is a miserable place. I heard one statement from Bhanu Maharaj. Until now, I'm not able to digest it. This is in the beginning of my spiritual life in 2002 or 2003. Bhanu Maharaj, in one lecture where I was live hearing, he said, to learn one lesson from this material world, it takes the jiva many lifetimes. And I just could not digest it. And even now, I'm not able to digest that. we have been going through so much suffering in this material world. There's so much suffering, but still that deep impetus, to take up to devotional service, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, doesn't come up. Although we are suffering so much in this material world, still that awakened consciousness is not there. That so much is the suffering in this material world. That is why I heard from many preachers when they actually go out, especially in the Western countries, and preach, they take us so much austerity to go and preach there. They are very elevated. But all tell me that realizations, that only one realization we have, after preaching in the Western world, that material world is really a miserable place. So we should realize that, this place is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. But again, we should not have a too much negative perspective about it. We should positively focus on pure devotion and practice pure devotion. Any other questions? Any other clarifications anyone has? Thank you very, very much. So tomorrow we will begin with Harinam Chintamani chapter 4. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai. Hare Krishna.